Happy Easter Monday, everybody.
Happy Easter Monday. We hope you had an amazing weekend. We definitely did.
It was an awesome weekend in church. Wow. Good Friday, Easter Sunday, squeeze an outreach event in between as
Yeah.
well. Lots. God showed up.
Yes.
Packed rooms to the brim. Okay, everybody was packed.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was so good. I love this time of year, just reflecting on the sacrifice that Jesus made for us on the cross and all that that means.
Yeah.
And I also love some of the fun Easter traditions that we do.
Yes,
And
yeah.
I'd love to know in the chat, what is an Easter tradition that you have in your family? What's your favorite one?
My favorite one, I always love the egg hunts. That's well, between the egg hunts and the mini eggs. But does buying mini eggs from the store count as a tradition?
It
'Cause we
does.
partake
We've
in
done that for many years.
And I got to shout out the Cadbury Cream Egg McFlurry. All right, so you can see
You
my
haven't had
traditions
one of
are around
those.
food. I may have after Good Friday's experience. So
We went to an outreach event this past Saturday at one of my favorite places, Teen Ranch, which
Yeah.
is a Christian sports camp, and they sponsor kids to come up to camp from the city. And it's such a special place for me. It's where I gave my life to Christ. But they were having a big Easter party,
Yeah.
and there were two ladies, and they were giving out something called tomb bread. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody was called tomb bread. Imagine almost like a donut, kind of like a Danish. And they said they cooked it with marshmallows, and to represent the tomb being rolled away, the marshmallows melted.
Yes.
And they were so good.
and you break it open and it's empty inside. It's like all hollow in the inside, so it's like an empty tomb.
An empty tomb,
And, like,
yes.
yeah. So
So they were giving these away for free, and they gave away the recipe as well. And now I want to make tomb bread for Grace every Easter, because the lady was telling me that it's something that they've done in their family for years. And one year she didn't make them, and the kids asked, "Well, where's the tomb bread, Mom? Where's the tomb bread?" I'm like, "That's so cute. You get to really talk to your kids about the significance of the holiday, but then you get
Yes.
to make something fun and sweet." And I don't know, I feel like traditions are so important.
It definitely are. They definitely are, and I love it. Just like such a great time of the year too, right? Like it's just getting nicer outside, and spring's coming. Spring's here, so it's just awesome. So
It's
yeah, we're
awesome. Well,
excited.
Pastor brought an amazing message
Yeah.
on Sunday.
Something in between.
Something in between.
Something in between, and so it was amazing message. We want to hear your takeaways. Put them in the chat. We always love seeing takeaways, so put it in the chat. We're gonna watch a clip, and we'll come back and discuss. Check it out.
I'm something in between. Like the women in this passage, it says, verse 8, look at this, please. They hurried away from the tomb, and I love this phrase because this is how I feel. Afraid, yet filled with joy. This is not a translation error, by the way, because most of us think like you're either gonna be afraid or filled with joy. I had somebody ask me the other day, I was going to do something that was a big deal, and they said, "Are you looking forward to it or are you dreading it?" And I was like, are those the only two options? Because I'm not exactly looking forward to it. I'm not exactly dreading it. I'm something. And it can change from moment to moment. I'm like really grateful for this life God has given me and this influence that He gave me. And then sometimes that anticipation feels like anxiety. And sometimes my anxiety feels like anticipation. And sometimes, listen to this, the difference between anticipation and anxiety is the way you label it.
What an awesome part of the message. I love that.
I love it. It's just, I don't know, it's just so reassuring to me that just these two Marys, right? They had these mixed emotions, right? They were afraid, but filled with joy. And it's just such a great reminder that even in the midst of the hard things that we go through, that doesn't mean that there has to be a complete absence of joy, that you can have both, that you can have mixed emotions about something.
Yeah, for sure. And I loved how it had that, joy or yet
Yeah.
afraid yet joy, and how they experience both. And I think so many times in our life we try to like categorize things as like all good, all bad, and
Right.
it's just like there's so much that's like mixed, and it's both, and it's like being able to kind of embrace that and know that even though some things may feel like the opposite, maybe they work in tandem, right? And maybe it's just kind of like two sides, but it's the same coin, in that phrase. So I just loved that part of the message for sure.
So good. I also loved when he talked about how God came to them.
Yes,
God
he
came
met 'em
to
right
them
there,
right
on the
there
way.
in the middle, on the way. And I just feel like, again, such a great reminder that even when we feel like we're struggling with something or we're on the way to something else, that God will always just show up suddenly. And that's happened time and time again. I was in the hospital a couple months ago, and we really felt like God showed up
Right
in the
there,
middle, in the
yeah.
in-between. I wasn't even in a hospital room. We were in a hallway.
In the hallway of the hospital
As
where
I
they
got
treat you now.
I got admitted, but they didn't have a room for me, so they left me in the hallway. And I can say that I definitely felt God's presence so tangibly there, and His love. And I feel like this is just such a great reminder that it's true. God will show up in the unexpected places.
Yeah, and I think sometimes he'll show up even more in those places, or maybe not that he'll show up more, but we're
Yeah.
more aware of his presence in those situations where we get into the place where like, okay, God, I need you to show up, and we're like calling out to him, and we're like asking for his
Yeah.
presence. He's like, I've been here the whole time, but like, thanks for like trying to look up to me now and like trying to see where I am. And so when we're seeking God, I feel like he makes us aware of his presence even more, which is amazing, and definitely remember that moment. But I do want to also talk about Good Friday.
Yes.
Because Good Friday was great. Okay, it was a great Friday.
Yes.
Amazing time in church. We talked about how God Himself provided the lamb. We talked about the story of Abraham and Isaac. He was about to sacrifice his son, but in the midst of that, clung to the promise of God to say, hey, I'm going to make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore and all of that. Even though he had to go to sacrifice his son, he believed somehow, somewhere way, God was going to make a way, and he was going to provide and allow his son to be okay from that, and to be able to still have that legacy through Isaac. And so even when he like went to tell the servant like, hey, be right back, both of us are going to come back, like we will return after we go and worship God. And when his son asked, hey, where's the lamb for the burnt offering? Like I have the fire and the wood here. And he was like, okay, don't worry, God Himself will provide the lamb. And to get to that moment in that story where like God showed up, the angel of the Lord, and said, hold on, Abraham, turn around, there's a ram in the thicket. And to have that, like that lamb there, God provided that. And then fast forward 2,000 years later, approximately, where Jesus came up and was the lamb for us, slain for us. And just to be able to kind of have that in our minds for Good Friday, that God Himself is such a good God. He doesn't just require a sacrifice of us, because there needs to be some sort of atonement for our sins, but He is the God that provides that sacrifice for us as well. And so, so powerful, so strong. So we talked about that Good Friday, and I just love that reminder, and wanted to kind of end that here. Is like, God's done so much for us. How are we able to give back to Him and sacrifice for Him? We're never going to be able to even the score at all. God's done way too much. But we want to be able to serve Him and continue to usher even more people into His presence. And so, action step for today. Invite somebody. Invite somebody out, everybody.
We saw so many people come out. We saw so many hands raised.
Yes.
Accepting Jesus and hearing
Lots
this
and
story.
e-kids too.
That's amazing. And it's so exciting. And I believe that just even this next week, we're celebrating 11 years as a ministry, and more lives are going to be touched. So invite somebody, think about somebody who's on your heart that you can bring with you next Sunday.
Yeah, we're going to be having an incredible Sunday as well. We have baptisms happening at both locations here in the GTA. So definitely, if you need to get baptized, send us a message. We would love to get you signed up to get baptized next Sunday in church.
Yeah.
And then our Mississauga location, Elevation Toronto, we are celebrating 11 years of ministry. And so we're always going to be celebrating. We always celebrate big. Obviously, baptism is the big part of the celebration, but we would love to celebrate with you guys as well. So definitely come on out.
Well, good to see all of you on here. We'll see you on Sunday. Have a great Easter Monday.